On this week's episode of Happy Homemaking with Heidi from Heavenly Minded Home, I'm sharing my tips for a productive, screen-free morning, looking at the impact clutter has on our faith, digging into the root of biblical temperance, my revolutionary way to spending less time cleaning, and I'm sharing an entire week's worth of healthy and easy meals for the whole family. So welcome, friend. Let's get homemaking. Friends, we're kicking out the distractions and we are going to be intentional here, setting ourselves up for success with a more lovely day with a simple, screen-free morning routine. I think oftentimes we don't even realize the impact that going to a screen or having a screen in front of us, really what that does to our day. I told you that we quit years ago having the TV on in the morning. I noticed that the kids would come out and we like to wake up slow. We're kind of an easygoing family, and they would come out and they would turn the TV on. I didn't think much of it. But then I started to notice that when we came out and we went straight to the TV, it was like the moment upon waking, that's what was filling our minds. And so I really started to think about what was on. You know, if you're a person that goes out and turns on the news first thing in the morning, the impact that has when first thing in the morning, that's what's influencing you. That's what's pouring into your mind, right? That's what is filling your head space. It really is quite large. And I found that it was really interesting to see, even with my kids, when they didn't go to TV first thing in the morning, the impact that started to have. And so I think that the first thing that is so important, and I saw incredible difference in my day, just my own mindset, my own outlook, my own, kind of focus, when instead of going to the screen, either getting on my phone and just scrolling through stuff, hopping straight into a computer, turning on the TV, anything like that, and instead rising in prayer. And what I mean by that is the moment you kind of gain that consciousness in your morning, go to the Lord in prayer. Lord, thank you. You gave me today, right? None of us are promised another day. Lord, help me through today, right? If you know you have something going on, something coming up, maybe you and your husband are really struggling. Maybe you've got a hard day with the kids. Maybe there's some behavioral issues or heart issues or whatever it might be that you have going on. You can pray for that. Lord, give me the strength today. If screen addiction and things like this are areas that you really struggle with, Lord, help me to be strong. Help me to be wise in the things, the tools that I might need to enact to keep balance in this area. And so I think it is really important that instead of just waking up and letting these things fill our minds, let's pause that for a moment and instead go to the Lord in prayer and say, Lord, you fill my mind, right? You equip me, you show me that narrow path and help me to walk on that here today. It will make a major difference in the entire rest of your day with just that one little micro habit in the morning of, instead of reaching for a screen, go to the Lord. Get yourself gathered. Get yourself ready for the day. Taking that just little bit of time, especially for busy moms, I think it almost feels like a luxury, but taking a few minutes, and genuinely, it only needs to be maybe 10 minutes, at most, but take a few minutes to get yourself ready. As soon as I wake up in the morning, right, I've risen in prayer, I kind of now just am in that headspace of just prayer and thankfulness and gratitude and kind of just giving things to the Lord that might be heavy on my mind or, whatever it might be. And really just going straight in, getting dressed and ready, right? Getting dressed, maybe throwing on a little makeup, whatever it might be, kind of, running your fingers through your hair or something, putting your hair up in a clip, whatever it might be, to just feel a little bit together. For me, I take the morning time to be diligent. I love having a good nail routine and taking care of my nail health. And I've shared with y'all before, there's only one thing I will use because it's the only thing that actually works. And I have my Rocket Nail Fuel, right? So every morning, I know it's a simple little thing, but every morning I get ready, usually come out, make myself a cup of protein coffee, which makes me feel so much better. Protein coffee is life-changing, just FYI, in case you were curious. I'll never go back. But I sit down and I put on a coat of my Rocket Nail Fuel, right? So I'm like, it's a little kind of luxurious feeling thing, but it's taking care of my nail health. So I'll sit down and I'll do that. That makes me feel kind of put together. It's like a feminine little touch that really makes me, feel like a lady who's, prepared and ready to face the day. I've added in taking my Primal Queen beef organ supplements. This is one of those things where, again, it's like a little tiny piece where I feel like I'm taking care of me, but these things have me feeling so much better as far as hormone balancing, sleeping, energy, right? All of those wonderful, amazing things that we need. The better we feel, the better we're able to go out about our day. I make sure I take this every morning after I've had my protein coffee, and it's like that little touch that makes a big difference. But I have it automatically set up to, at a certain time every morning, just start playing my hymns of the homemaker. I have them here on YouTube. It's a whole playlist, you guys. I will link it down below. And I need to make more of them. So if you have any suggestions or things you would like to see, feel free to let me know. I'm open to your suggestions. I started making them because I wanted something in my home that could just play. There's something about setting that tone, that ambiance of your home that I started doing it a handful of years ago, and even my husband would come in and he was like, it just feels so relaxing in here. It just feels so peaceful. Like the atmosphere is just so lovely. And I noticed that, having this going throughout the day, my kids know that's our rule. Like if my hymns of the homemaker are on, nothing else can be on, nothing else can be playing, because this is the tone we're setting. So for me, I have it just automatically come on, but to go out and just set the tone of your home by either playing some soft instrumental music, which is my favorite. Maybe it's playing a playlist of old hymns, just something soft and soothing and beautiful is something that is so nice to really just truly set the tone of the home. Set that ambiance, right? To give you that feeling of like, okay, here we are, right? I'm doing this. I don't need the news blaring at me. I don't need reels blaring at me. I don't need any of this stuff. I'm here, I'm focused, I'm intentional, and I'm in the moment of my space and those that the Lord has put in front of me. And so that nice little soft atmospheric, adjustment there with some soft, soothing music really is lovely and really does make your morning feel so beautiful, so inviting, so calming, and just truly lovely. The next thing that I think is so important as part of this no screen morning routine is do something needed. Quite frequently, especially if I'm feeling overwhelmed, I will pull that out and vacuum mop our floors. I love it. It makes it so easy. I don't have to do any prep work, right? I just pull it out and go. But especially if I'm feeling like I'm overwhelmed, I don't know where I'm gonna get to, ADHD is kicking in and really getting me, having that win of in the morning doing something needed, doing something that needed to get done, whether it was, I need some time in the Word right now. Maybe it was, man, I really need to catch up on some laundry. Maybe there's some sort of task, some sort of need that if you just dive into that in your morning, just, all right, we're just gonna do it. The satisfaction of that completion really does a lot to set us up for success in the day of like, all right, I'm up, I've tackled that, like, what's next, okay? And it feels so much better than just, oh wow, I've sat here scrolling through reels for the past 3 hours and now my morning's gone, the kids are crazy, what's going on? How did I lose all this time? And then we feel the guilt from that. And so getting up, doing something needed makes a big difference. Even if that need is a small task, you've done it, you've accomplished it. Pat on the back, let's keep going. Now, I think it's really important to do something life-giving. Hear me out. There's those things, usually it's those, pictures we see on Facebook or whatever, and it's usually like a cabin and there's like water outside and it's like, just give me a good book and 2 rocking chairs or whatever, right? And like, would that be so nice? Life is as lovely as we choose to see it. And so when we choose to prioritize weaving those little bits into our day that just feel so lovely, feel so life-giving. Like if today was my last day, this is where I would go. This is what I would soak up. This is what would matter. Weaving those into our routines really does add up and make a huge impact on our outlook and our attitude and how we feel. So friends, I hope these little tips and tricks here can be an encouragement to you and be a blessing as you start to put these into practice. You're intentional in these areas. And even if it's not every single morning, right, for me, sometimes I gotta get up and I gotta get some work done. But weaving days like this, screen-free mornings that end up so much more productive, right? So much more life-giving. I feel great after doing a morning routine like this. I'm far more focused on the things that I should be when I'm starting my day off. Maybe I might use the screen a little bit later, but honestly, the more that I focus on things like this, the less I feel that drive to just endlessly scroll and watch a bunch of nonsense that really isn't edifying in any way anyways. Now, it's no secret that I love collecting vintage treasures. Stuff is just not made like it used to be. And so recently my husband and I did start an online store where you guys can shop the lovely vintage finds that I find out and about. We've brought them into our home and they're ready to go to yours. So be sure to head over to eBay and you can check out our store, Lovely Vintage Oasis, where you can find some beautiful items that I've curated and collected from various places around our area, ready to go to your home and be a blessing and bring that little touch of lovely to your home that I know I so appreciate having in mine. So head over there. We have new inventory going in frequently, and we always make sure to get everything shipped out right away so that way it can get to your home for you and your family to enjoy. I'll link everything down below. Be sure to follow along on the store so you can see all our updates as they come. I'd like to invite you to clean along with me today, tackle some things around the house as we look a little bit deeper to the matter and look at the impact that clutter has on our faith. So grab a pile of laundry that needs to be folded, pop in an earbud if there's something you need to tackle, and let's get to it. Hey Google, play Hymns of the Homemaker.
All right, here's Hymns of the Homemaker on YouTube.
Now, home is a place that is so incredibly important, regardless of what season of life you're in, what your circumstances might be. This place is sacred. It's where everything begins. And our role as keepers of the home to set this tone of our space and to build up somewhere that is nourishing, that is our haven from a busy and hectic world. And I think it's so important and oftentimes can start to become so overwhelming that we no longer see it as this haven, as this place of ministry. And I think that that is done so much in our lives that maybe we don't even realize. I think for many of us that we kind of just get busy with life. All the things come in, the influence of the world, the impact that this consumer society that we live in has on us really can just make it so overwhelming. So instead of it being this place of nourishment and of beauty and of ministry, it becomes this chore, this drudgery, this thing that we just can't take anymore. And we really are just so over it. I think for many of us, we do get overwhelmed by the stuff, by the clutter, by the chaos, by all of that. And it really just becomes this thing that we don't want to deal with. And so we find more things to go do that are outside of the home, or even when we're in the home, we spend more time staring at a screen and focusing on something on the TV or something that isn't real life because we don't want to deal with it. We don't know how to deal with it. And I think what's really important is that in the busy and the chaos, we stop to smell the roses, right? We stop to see the beauty that is around us. I happened to pop outside to throw something out, and I noticed this lily that had come into bloom. All my lilies are blooming. I have them scattered kind of all over the yard, and going out each day to find these, I know it's a little kind of silly thing. It doesn't have any, massive impact, but it really is such a little touch of beauty and such a great reminder that the Lord is providing. And he's providing in all the ways that we need. And so something as simple as stopping to collect this flower, to bring it in while I'm busy and I'm taking care of all of the things that need to be done, to bring that in, to smell its fragrance, and to remember to see the blessing and beauty in it, really is something that makes a big difference and has a big impact in the overall image of our day. Now, I love doing things like weaving little bits of beauty into my home. The clutter that comes in, right? The consumer mentality we have, all of the stuff, there's always more. It makes cleaning harder. It makes keeping up with everything harder, right? Clutter really does take over and steal the joy of the home. And so tending that, removing the excess, simplifying things down, and instead holding on to the little bits and beauty and weaving those in even little spaces, like even a weed that the kiddos have picked for me and brought in and put in a vase, really does have a large impact. And so friends, today I really would encourage you to go through your space, look at the areas that are cluttered, that are frustrating, and how can you simplify? How can you pull that weight of excess out of your space, out of your priority, or even just your burden, and instead start to look for ways that you can weave bits of beauty, bits of enjoyment into your home. Our homes are the forefront of our ministry. They allow us to create the space to truly pour into others through the discipleship of our children, through hosting and hospitality in many different ways. It really is that beginning space, and removing that weight of clutter and excess really does make such a difference in the day to day, making it easier for us to take care of the things that need to be taken care of. May it be just the mental weight of trying to keep a hold of everything and keep everything running smoothly. There's so many different impacts that this really does touch to make such a difference, so we can indulge in the beautiful luxuries and loveliness of life, making the most out of our space, setting the tone and making it somewhere that people want to gather. They want to come together, and so that we can pour into them and ourselves, all to the glory of God with the eternal in mind. And so friends, let this be an encouragement to clear the clutter and make the most out of our space, giving God glory for all of it. I'd like to invite you all to our Biblical Womanhood study, Timeless Truth for Modern Women. This study is so near and dear to my heart, as I love doing this with you all every single summer, a time to dig into God's Word and truly look at His design and desire for our lives. We're going to spend 12 weeks studying through this with video discussions. We'll also have a study booklet printable, coordinating sermons, our community group, and so much more available to you all. We hope to see you here at Heavenly Minded Home as we study through this, discussing what God's Word says and how we apply this to our lives to truly be those women who stand for the Lord here in our modern day and age. Come and join this free study. New videos begin in June and will go all through August. Sign up in the link down below, and I'll see you over there. Can Christians be fat? Drunk? What about hoarders? Let's get to the bottom, to the root of this here through the lens of Scripture. So let's start off here with an area that, let's be honest, especially in our Western culture, this is a big one, and it's one that we all have to really hold that mirror before ourselves and ask the Lord to reveal to us where this might be an area of struggle. And that would be the area of gluttony. Gluttony here, when we talk about this, it's just that lack of self-control. I know, we look across our world today, and there's so many health issues and things related to all of this that we can get into, but we have to look at the root cause of it. And so I think when we pause and we go, wow, at the root cause of this, that might be an issue for you, even if you're not, overweight, or, there's not some outward thing. Down to the root, this could be you as well. Are you emotionally eating? Are you stress eating, right? Is this an area where you have lacked self-control? We know that in 2 Peter chapter 1, verses 5 through 6, Peter writes, "For this very reason, make every effort to supplement your faith with virtue, and virtue with knowledge, and knowledge with self-control, and self-control with steadfastness, and steadfastness with godliness." We know that self-control and just that self-discipline is so incredibly important. And I think that's an area that even within the Christian culture today, it's widely overlooked. We can overindulge in eating and nobody even bats an eye about it. Not only can that have a serious health impact on you in your life, but it has a root issue as well. Paul writes in his letter to the Corinthians in 1 Corinthians 6:12, he says, "You say I am allowed to do anything, but not everything is good for you. And even though I'm allowed to do anything, I must not become a slave to anything." And that's where we get to the root cause of this. Is your eating out of control? I know I've struggled with that before and really had to take a good hard look at that and go, why am I doing this, right? Why do I not have this in control? Yes, it's affecting my health, which is important, but it really was affecting the heart as well. And I needed to address that and deal with it and respond in a way that could truly honor the Lord. Now, I know sometimes it can be hard to remember that the moderation and balance is what's so important here. We look at the wisest man to ever live outside of Christ with King Solomon, and Ecclesiastes is one of my most favorite books in the entire Bible. I love it so much, and I love as he's going through and trying to find the meaning of life and what it all amounts to and all of that. He's going through this amazing quest with all the wisdom that the Lord has granted him. And in Ecclesiastes 8:15, Solomon writes, "So I recommend," right, of all the wisdom he has, all the things he's tried trying to figure it all out, this is his recommendation. "Have fun, because there's nothing better for people in this world than to eat, drink, and enjoy life. That way they will experience some happiness along with all the hard work God gives them under the sun." So yes, we do eat, right? There is even a ministry, I think, in eating, in sharing meals together. We see here that there is not the evil of, a glass of wine existing, but the issue here is in the drunkenness. And I know this is a deep topic that many struggle with, but I want to make sure that we address it. Can we be drunks? Absolutely not. It's when we take something again and we lose that self-control, we lose that temperance and self-discipline to understand that some things can be beneficial. But you can lose the benefit when the indulgence becomes so deep and so great and so out of control that it's no longer this useful tool or this blessing or even this necessity of life, right? We have to eat food, but now it's become something damaging. In the letter to the church in Ephesus in Ephesians 5:18, Paul writes, "Don't be drunk with wine, because that will ruin your life. Instead, be filled with the Holy Spirit." We know that there's a massive contrast between indulging in excessive drinking and, the occasional glass of wine or something like that. We know that that indulgence, it leads to ruin every single time. There's no way around it. We are to be filled with the Holy Spirit, living as ambassadors of Christ, being that example, dying to our sinful flesh and living for the Lord in everything that we do. We know that there can be a benefit to something in moderation, sure, but there's a much deeper heart root here that needs to be addressed. And so if that is an area you're struggling in, or something, I think obviously alcohol is the first choice, but I look at so many that are addicted to drinking soda, right? These things that we know have serious impacts on your health, especially diet drinks. Run from diet drinks. They are so harmful to the system that God has given you. We look at soda, diet drinks, we think of even excessive coffee consumption, energy drinks, which again, run away. Major health complications come from that. We look at our indulgence, yes, in food, in eating, but also in drinking. Alcohol, yes, Absolutely. There's not many great things that we can even possibly try to pull together from that area. Absolutely agree. Same thing with the other types of drinks. And it's, again, not saying that coffee is bad or evil, or, an energy drink is just the end of the world, but that excess, that consumption, those high levels where you're not disciplining your appetite, you just keep drinking more, that's going to cause serious issues in your health, yes, but it also shows the root that you are highly undisciplined in your appetites. And usually if we can't keep it together with something as simple as something we're eating or something we're drinking, that heart issue exists in other places as well. And that's why it's important that we tend to these and address them. What about the hoarding of possessions? We live in a world that is so consumer driven. We are consuming everything. Most everything we use has a one-time use. We toss it and get more. We're always buying more. We always have this. You look at, I think of these reels we see online where somebody's got, 87 of these ridiculously expensive reusable cups, or, whatever it is, with every type of candle or body scrub or something. Now, possessions, again, aren't evil, just like everything else we've talked about. I have stuff in my home. There's things that I have that are amazing, wonderful tools that I'm so thankful to the Lord that I have, because they make life a lot easier, right? They're wonderful blessings and things to use, and that's fantastic. That's great. But again, it's that root issue. It's the heart of it all. It is that just hoarding, that holding on, that just prioritizing the shopping, the indulgence, more, never satisfied, never content. And this is an area, it's why I love talking about simple living and things of the like, because scripture actually has a lot to say about this topic. For instance, I always love having this on the forefront of my mind, especially when I'm dealing with these things in my own home, in my own life. And that would be with 1 Timothy 6, verses 6 through 8. Paul writes, "Yet true godliness with contentment is itself great wealth." We all would like great wealth, I'm pretty sure. Here's some great wealth to focus on. "After all, we brought nothing with us when we came into this world, and we can't take anything with us when we leave it. So if we have enough food and clothing, let us be content." That's it. I love Matthew 6. It is one of my most encouraging passages of scripture, with the Lord talking about his provision and what we truly need. And it's something that I keep on the forefront of my mind in every just season of life and things that we're going through. But it is so important to remember here that we don't take any of this with us. The only thing that moves on into the eternal are people. And so when we look at how much time and attention we might be spending on the consumption of stuff, or just the general, just that like heart's longing for having more, a bigger house, a nicer car, a certain bag, whatever it might be, right? We see these things and we watch these and go, oh, if I could have that, everything would be better. If only I could get to this, if we made more money, right? That just desire to consume. And instead we made our investment into the things that are eternal. Our discipleship and walk with the Lord, pouring into our marriages, our children, friends, family, people in the community, whatever it might be. Yes, I love as a homemaker to create a beautiful and cozy space for my family that they love and that nourishes us. And we have things, sure, it's again, like everything else, not that the things are evil. But when the root desire comes to the consumption, right? We look at the wise young ruler, right? That goes up to Jesus and says, "Lord, I've done everything, how do I inherit the kingdom of heaven?" And he goes, "Okay, well, you know the law, right? Have you done those things?" He goes, "Yes, I've done them all," which, none of us are doing them all perfect. So that was Jesus's first point. He goes, "Okay, if you've perfected all of that and you've done it, go give all your stuff away. Give it to the poor, to those in need, and come follow me." And what happens? Well, the rich young ruler, he leaves sad because his possessions were great. He thought he was great. He thought, hey, I've perfected everything. Look at me. You're telling me to give it all away now? Give all my stuff away? Look at us, we go and we buy homes now that have more storage space, more garages, more closets. We buy storage sheds and units and all of these different things to store all our possessions. When scripture itself tells us how foolish it is to go out and buy more or build more barns and storeyards and fill it with more and more stuff. And then overnight they catch on fire, and what are you going to do now, right? You build up all these beautiful places for yourself to store your earthly possessions, and yet they're still gone. So I think it's really important when we look at this, we go, wow, Lord, am I really focused on consumption? Am I always shopping, right? I'm always got packages coming in. We laugh at the overindulgence. When you look around your home, is every nook and cranny filled with just stuff that you don't even use? Look at where you spend your money, right? Pull up your bank account, right? Is that where it should be going? Check your heart in this. What are you longing for? Where is that discontent in your life? Is it for just more stuff, better this, keeping up with someone else, making people think that you're something because look at all that stuff you have, or how nice of a car you drive, or how beautiful of a house you had built, or whatever it might be? This is a really big area. And so, yes, in Paul's letter to the church and with Titus, where he says, hey, women not given to much wine. Yeah, they're talking about that specifically. But again, it's just this spiritual discipline of our appetites. Where does that come for you? Could it be with consumption of food, consumption of drink, or just consumption of stuff? Friend, today I have a revolutionary idea for you. You ready for it? Come here. If you want to clean less, all you have to do is own less. Now, first and foremost, I encourage you to assess every room, every space. It really does make such a difference as we go through and kind of just take an inventory, right? You look at even the biggest chains across the country and the world, they do inventory every single year. There's something about assessing where we're at that really is like that eye-opener to start this whole process. Whether it's not about minimalism, it's not about, getting to a certain goal of only having so many items or whatever it might be. It's about really looking at what it is you have. And we're going to go through these next steps to help us get to that point where we're not in this overwhelming state of so much stuff to try to keep up with. But if we don't assess it in the first place, it makes it really difficult to try to work through the following steps when you don't know where to get started, right? They say in any multi-step program, the first step is admitting you have a problem. Sometimes it takes this step of assessment to realize where some struggle might be. Now, I will highly encourage you to always seek the deeper root of the issue. We can stay at the surface level, sure, but until you address the root cause, you're really gonna struggle with a solution that lasts. I will say that in my early years of being married, I worked a part-time job and I was so stressed and overwhelmed and really didn't know what I was doing and had some other issues and things going on that I noticed that I would take my paycheck every other week or whatever it was when I got paid, and I would just go shop. I would just go buy stuff, and it was all home type stuff. It was like I was trying to fill some void of feeling unequipped, and so I just made everything look really, really pretty. And I would blow my paycheck every single pay period buying stuff for our house that we did not need. And it wasn't until for us, we ended up with this huge cross-country move, that I had to go through and physically assess every item that I had. And it really was such a eye-opening experience when I looked at all the stuff that needed to be dealt with before we could move. Why did I buy this? Why do I have so much of this, right? You open up all those cupboards and all those way back places in your home and you go, why do I have so many of these, right? Why is this here? And so I think it is just so important to pause. Step one, go through your spaces individually, be it a whole room, a closet, a pantry, right? A piece, and assess where you're at, and maybe even a little bit deeper into that heart of, why do I have all of this stuff, right? What is that assessment uncovering? Because the second thing that I would highly recommend is kind of assessed it or seeing where we're at. We know that we're sick and tired of constantly cleaning, right? what is it that frustrates you the most? Ask yourself those questions, or maybe just be aware over the next few days and look at the areas or the just instances around the home throughout the day where you're like, oh, this is making me bananas. I can't take it. I cannot stand counter clutter. It makes me crazy when the horizontal surfaces are covered in stuff. And I started to notice that there were these reoccurring areas that were just dumping grounds or just mess havens. I don't even know how it would happen sometimes, but I really started to focus on the areas that frustrated me the most. It really makes such an impact when we tackle those areas that we're going to feel the impact of them getting better. So sometimes it's like, oh, well, I'll start off here in this kind of back area that I don't go to very often, and so you fix it, but you don't really feel the impact of that fix because you don't use it very frequently. I say tackle the areas that bother you the most, right? Is there junk outside on the patio that every day when you walk through the door, you're just like, oh, so we really got to deal with this, right? Is it, like me, got clutter all over the countertops? Oh, we want to address that. Maybe it's a bathroom or a closet, whatever it might be. Really think about the area that's frustrating you the most. Quite often, the things that frustrate us the most, it's because there's a lot of excess in that area. And I think that we kind of get this idea, well, I just need to be more organized. So I buy more baskets, I buy more tools, I buy more things. And come on, Amazon, there's a dime a dozen resources there for great organizers. And that's wonderful. There's nothing wrong with a good organizer. But you can't organize clutter. When you have all this excess and there's all this stuff, sure, you might put together this top-notch basket system, but if it's still just so much stuff that it's overflowing and you can't keep up with it, you're not really doing yourself any favors. And so really look at the areas where you have the most frustration. And I think, again, kind of repeat that step of assessment in why is this so frustrating? Why is this so difficult? Is it because there's just way too much? Is it because, we don't have a good system in place to organize the core things that we do need? What is the root of that issue that is causing that mass frustration in your home and in your day-to-day keeping of it? Because it's so incredibly important to look at these spaces individually and ask yourself, what do I actually use here? Do I actually need to have this many coats per person, right? If that's always a mess. Do we actually need to have this many pairs of shoes? Do I actually need to have this much decor, right? Sometimes it's the decor of it that you don't even want to go in there and dust because you're gonna have to move 7,000 items to get the surface clean. Then you gotta put it all back, and that's too many steps. Is it that your kitchen cupboards are so full of things that sure, maybe you organize it and you've tried that before and you feel like it's just not working because they're back to being a mess again? Well, maybe it's because there's so much stuff in there that trying to get the things you actually use and actually need, it just ends up messing up all the other stuff that's shoved in there. Really assess these areas and look at what you actually genuinely use and need. Now, I've kind of been on a couple ends of the spectrum here. I've had all the chaos and excess, and then I've been super minimal. We went through a period where I was so overwhelmed, couldn't take it anymore. We had just had our fourth baby, and we were getting started in ministry full time. It's just, there's too many things moving. We went super, super minimal. And I mean that we kept one spoon for each person. I had my husband engrave our initials in our spoon so we would know whose was whose, right? You were responsible to wash it, to dry it, to use it. That was your spoon. One fork, one knife, right? We did that with everything. One plate, one cup. We did that across the board for our whole family. And it might seem a little extreme and crazy, I get it, but it worked wonders when you really do look at your space and look at what you actually use, what you actually need. It really gives you this clear definition of what is excess. Now, I'm not saying that excess is just all evil and bad and you can never have any. I think different seasons of life call for different things. My kids are a lot older now. I'm in a different season of life. Then being able to keep up and load their dishes and stuff like that really isn't that big of a deal. And so yes, we have more than just one utensil per person. But that was a great eye-opener to really show us, wow, there is a lot of excess that I don't have to have. And so if I'm really trying to look at how much time I'm spending cleaning and upkeeping, or even just the mental headspace of clutter and stuff everywhere around me, maybe I need to go through and really look at what I actually use in the space, because that's really gonna start to define how much excess there is. You can do this in your closet, right, with your own wardrobe. There's a couple ways to do it. One way is to turn all your hangers, the opposite way, and then notice which things you actually grab, because you'll turn the hanger around the other way, right? It's a great way to see, wow, like how much of this isn't getting used. Another trick that I like to do when we go through addressing our family's minimalist wardrobes is that I will wash every piece of clothing. Absolutely everything is clean. There is nothing left out. And then I'll not do laundry for a full week, like a full 7 days. I find then that all of us have worn our favorite things, because we go and we'll grab the thing we want to wear, right, if it's there in the closet. And so at the end of that 7 days, I wash all the laundry, and then everything that we had left in our dressers or closets, our bins, those are the things that are not our favorite things to wear. I will bag those up, go and donate them, let them be a blessing to someone else, because we clearly have a week's worth of clothing, which is more than sufficient. And it's all the stuff that I know we all love, because when given the opportunity, we all chose our favorite things throughout the week. Not that you have to do those, of course. Those are just things that I know our family's done that we've seen and found to be helpful, but really looking at what you're actually using is going to help you immensely as you tackle the clutter and excess in your home. I recently did a series here on YouTube, kind of again along the lines here of this, and I'll link it down below if any of you are interested in it. But the next point here is really, really actually important, and I would encourage us all to pause and ask this, but that would be, how would you actually like that space to be? I think so often we just, like, this is what it is, and it's always like something is getting added on and added on and added on and added on, and then you get to this point where everything just feels so full and so cluttered and just so overwhelming to deal with. And what I really think is important is to kind of stop and go back and go, what do I actually want this space to be? Just because all of this around me is what it is doesn't mean that's what it has to be. So in the series that I can link down below, what I did is I went through our house and I super minimalized, super deep cleaned. I stripped everything, decor, all of it, everything off the walls, everything down. Because for me, it felt like, little bit by little bit, we had added a little here, added a little there, right? Like things just come in, you get given things, you find things, stuff happens, different seasons of life, it's all good. But I pulled it all down. I cleaned it all really super well. And then I gave myself the time and ability to go back through everything and go, is this really what I want here? Is this really serving our family? Is this really what works best for us? And for me, like, I know there's so many things that, I just buy the cheap option or whatever because, we're on a budget and we're trying to do something. And so you kind of use it, but it's not really the thing that you want to be using or that you really enjoy using. And so I love going and working slowly but surely and finding vintage items in the thrift stores that I can replace with these kind of cheaper things that I don't really enjoy using, and instead have this nice, beautiful thing that usually costs me far less and is far superior in quality. But giving myself that ability to kind of go through the different areas and go, why do I have this? Is this what I really want? How do I actually want the space to be? How do I actually want our family to use this space? I want my family to gather more around the table and have great conversation and just be there with one another and be present. So I invest in things like beautiful thrift store china, and I'll set beautiful dinner tables and things like that. And everybody comes around and we really hang out and we enjoy. It's like when I put in that little bit of effort, it causes the family to really want to kind of soak that up. I really wanted the family to spend more time sitting outside and dining together, or even just having coffee in the morning, or kind of hanging out while the kids are in the pool. And so I picked up a little like bistro table and chairs from the thrift store, super inexpensive, and planted some flowers and did some cute things just to make it a space that feels inviting, instead of just being a boring patio, with some old random stuff on it. We found some things to adjust it to make it be more of a space that could be used the way I really genuinely wanted it to. So friends, I hope these few simple things here can make an impact in your home today. we don't want to spend all our time cleaning. We don't want to have to spend all our time organizing. I'm telling you, I enjoy cleaning and enjoy organizing, but it's not where I want to spend all of my time. I want simple systems and a simple home that feels lovely, that's inviting and cozy, that my family can easily keep up with as well and not feel overwhelmed. I want to dedicate my time and my attention to the things I truly enjoy and be present with those that I love the most. And if I'm going to keep it simple and beautiful, my house can go from absolute wreck to show ready in just a few minutes time, because we've gotten rid of so much. I don't have that much to keep up with. You're never gonna find me backed up on dishes, backed up on laundry, right? Backed up on these things, because we just don't keep that much stuff to begin with. But I wouldn't change it for the world, because I love how simple it is to keep up with the things that need to be kept up with, so that I can focus my time and energy on the things, the people that truly matter. Friends, I want to pause and interrupt real quick to remind you about our wonderful friends over at Artza. Now, this is a subscription service that our family loves and appreciates so much. Every month of your subscription, you get this beautiful little box sent. Our whole house gets so excited when we see it in the mail, and it's full of handmade items directly from Israel. I love so much this ability to learn more about God's holy land, to learn more about the places that Jesus walked and taught, and all of these wonderful things that we read about in scripture just come to life with these pieces and treasures from Israel. Every month has a different theme. You're going to learn about the artisans that are making the items in here. You're going to learn about ways that you can pray for and support the Israeli people. And again, what a wonderful opportunity to have this to bring into your home, to enjoy and to learn more about God's holy land. I love having these pieces sprinkled all around our home, so that way when I pass by them throughout my day, they can be little reminders to pause and pray. Pray for those in Israel. Pray for them to come to a true saving knowledge of the Lord, and pray for their peace and protection as they are facing such terrible, terrible tragedies here today. And so I want to invite you to come over and check out Artza. They're such beautiful people, and we're so thankful for them. Of course, we have a special discount code for you down in our description box, so you can go get that and sign up and check out these amazing Israeli goods for yourself in your own home with your Artza box. Friends, I am truly amazed each and every month at not only the craftsmanship of these items here from Israel, but the high quality. The food is always delicious. Their skincare and lotions and fragrant things are some of my favorite. Highly recommend Artza box. This box is amazing. I am so excited to use all of these things, and I think you will really enjoy this. It's also a wonderful gift to give, so be sure to check out our link for Artza box down below. Friend, I've got you covered. Here is a week's worth of carnivore, ketovore, easy family dinner ideas. This a little bit easier for you all, I did go ahead and gather up all of these recipes and ideas in a PDF ebook, and I went ahead. The most universal way I could think to do this to make it as easy as possible for us is I went ahead and put my personal grocery shopping list at Walmart, where I do most of my grocery ordering. Let's just be honest, it's the easiest one to get to. I put all of those links directly in there, so you guys can get that ebook. You can see all the recipes, see these laid out, and you can also get all the items that I use for our family that are budget friendly. You can just click on them, add them directly to your cart, do a pickup order, get it delivered, whatever it is that you use. That is all over on my Telegram channel, and so if you guys would like to come and get that, it is all completely free. I have a link down below in the description. Sign up for a Telegram, it'll give you a link. Come over and join me. You'll get this ebook plus other little freebies and fun things that I put over there for our most very special friends here in the Heavenly Minded Home community. And so that is over there. If it can be a blessing to you, you know I'm going to share it with you. So meal number one would be taco bowls. The thing I learned when we were doing carnivore strictly as a family is really just take your favorite foods you love eating, strip everything out that isn't meat or eggs or dairy, and there you go, eat that food. It really can be that simple, and that's what we do with taco bowls. And so we do this at least once a week. You can do ground beef. Our family will usually go and buy just a large thing of ground beef. My tip here is whenever you're buying meat, buy the best quality you can afford. You're going to see results from this way of eating regardless. Obviously, the higher the quality, the better,
Absolutely. If you have a local farmer or your local farmer's market has connections and you can get stuff, absolutely, go do that. That's fantastic. If you're looking for that local quality as far as grass-fed, grass-raised, no hormones, no antibiotics, right, all of that stuff, there are things like the Wellness Company has their own ranch. What is it? Riverbend Ranch, I think is what it's called. And they have amazing meat that you can get there for great prices. You just like sign up each month and you can get it. I'll leave a link down below if you're interested in that. If it is shopping at a local grocery store, we have like Ingles here in Western North Carolina. They have amazing quality stuff. There's some local places that sell through them. That's great. Sometimes it's Walmart, okay? I'm gonna be honest. Sometimes that is the best quality my family can afford, and that's what we eat, and that is a-okay. So whether it's buying a big thing of beef, you're doing chicken, you know, whatever meat you wanna use, turkey, you know, whatever it is that you wanna use, you use the meat. And then what we do that makes it so simple with keeping it strictly carnivore is you can add some sour cream if you want, you can add some cheese if you want, and then you can add herbs. Like I always add cilantro to it. It is delicious. You can be completely satiated with a taco bowl that is meat, cheese, sour cream, and maybe some cilantro. If I'm staying strictly carnivore, that's what I eat. Now, if I'm leaning little more ketovore, right? Maybe I've gone through some cycle or I'm just wanting a little something else. I want to stretch it a little bit further. That's where you can add in some of the plant foods that aren't bothering your system. Now, for each of us, this can be different. And the only way to know which plants bother you is to completely detox from all of them through a strict carnivore window of 30 to 90 days, and then start adding stuff in and see how your body responds. I personally was amazed at how many plant foods that I had been eating really did bother my system and my kids and my husband's as well. And so a lot of times if I'm leaning a little more ketovore, I will add in some fresh pico de gallo. I will add in some lettuce. Maybe I'll do some Spanish rice. Again, depending on how your body responds to those things. There are many great things like a cauliflower rice that you could use that will keep you very much still low in the amount of carbs you're taking in, but still giving you a great, well-rounded meal. And so taco bowls happen every single week. I do want to pause real quick and add that through our journey of eating carnivore or ketovore, really looking at our health and improving in these areas, cutting out the sugary drinks, cutting out the extra just things that work their way in. We drink a lot of water, even a sparkling water if we want something nice. I don't have a bunch of sugary drinks and creamers in my coffee that I'm drinking, but instead do a healthy protein coffee. Many different things like that made such a huge difference. But also things like I quit all of those extra vitamins and supplements that I had been taking, thinking they were making a difference. They weren't. And it's because they're so synthetic. You're getting so much junk mixed in with them that your body honestly doesn't even know how to properly respond and process those vitamins that you're taking. And instead, I've started taking these Primal Queen beef organ supplements. Now, these are made for women specifically. I've been taking just beef liver, and that was fantastic. I'll link mine in that PDF I shared. But then I started these Primal Queen ones for women specifically. Ladies, I had some personal stuff I've been dealing with since taking these, and I love that they come in this great little glass dish. It just sits here on my counter, easy for me to take each day. I'm feeling so much better. I am amazed at how much better I'm feeling since taking these. So if you could possibly be in need of a great supplement here with these different beef organs, so that way it can really support your system, get you those extra nutrients and minerals that your body so desperately needs that you're not getting if you're not eating all these organs. And this way it is in a true way from animals who are healthy, who are not filled with a bunch of injections, that are clean and organic. Your body can process all of these minerals, and you're gonna start seeing an impact very quickly. So I'm obsessed. I'm like a little over a month in. I'm seeing so many amazing benefits. Very, very thankful for this. I will leave you guys a special discount code down below. If you wanna check them out, I take one in the morning, one in the afternoon, and I am feeling great. Dinner idea number 2 would be steak. Our family is a big beef family. We honestly need to start raising cows because that is what we could eat really every single night. Steak is one of our favorite. We usually at least a couple times a month, we'll just get the New York strip steaks at Walmart. Usually the kids will get the smaller steaks, the adults will get the bigger strip steaks, and we make those on our Blackstone grill that we have right outside. My husband puts them on there with lots of butter and garlic, and we'll even take and put some bacon on the griddle outside and then add that onto the steak if you want a little extra on there as well. It is the best. A big steak covered in bacon with that butter and garlic, different herbs and things on it. Absolutely delicious. It's like my favorite meal. It is so good. So steak is a big one that we have often. Now, if you're leaning more ketovore and you want to add some sides with it, you absolutely can. But again, that's where you look at the sides that you do want. Maybe look for things that are a little more keto friendly, especially maybe some fresh, low vegetables, salad to go along with it, something like that, even a sourdough bread if you want a little bit of bread and you're leaning more ketovore. I noticed for my body at least that having something that was fresh from the bakery, sourdough especially, my body processed it a lot better. Nothing packaged, nothing pre-made, right? Either fresh from a bakery or fresh made at home made a huge difference. And so steak is always a big one. If you are a person that has to have the sauces, right? Like you have to have A1, you have to have those extra things. The biggest tip is to find things that are very low in sugar. You know what the ingredients are. They don't have a bunch of additives in them. And then when you do use them, make sure you're using a very small amount. I know some people out there in carnivore are like, no, use nothing. But honestly, if that little help there is going to help you be able to stick to this and do it in the long run, I would much rather stick in the thing that's going to help me be successful versus stripping everything away and not able to stick with something that I know is going to have such a huge impact on my health. So my family, I personally don't, but I have a lot of A1 eaters in our house when it comes to their steak. And so A1's ingredients aren't awful, and then just making sure they're using very small amounts. We don't need to be drenching everything in it. Really makes a big difference, but steak, can't go wrong with that. Now, this next one might be one of our family's most favorite finds that we came up with. It is the richest, most decadent meal that I'm going to share out of all of these. And that would be our family's chicken Alfredo recipe. And again, I will share it all in that ebook. So come over and visit me on Telegram if you would like to get that. We take chicken. I usually get chicken thighs. They are a great cut of meat. They're usually pretty inexpensive, so especially feeding a large family. My husband will season them, salt, pepper, some herbs, and put them out on his Blackstone. And then while he's doing that, we make up some fresh Alfredo sauce. Our Alfredo sauce consists of cream cheese, heavy whipping cream, Parmesan cheese, butter, garlic, salt and pepper to taste. And you cook it all together. I'll have the recipe in there. It's delicious. I mean, anybody we've ever made this for is like, I could drink this bowl of Alfredo sauce. It is so good. And so when we're doing that carnivore, we just make the chicken, put that on, smother it in the Alfredo sauce and eat it. Oh, so good, so rich. It will fill you so quickly. It is fantastic. Now, if you're leaning a little more ketovore with this, again, you could always add a salad or some vegetables that don't bother you, things that are, you know, lower in those starches and whatnot. If you want to add on some keto-friendly pasta on the side to go with it, you absolutely could. To be honest, we all get so full just eating it, the meat with the Alfredo sauce, that we're like, good, I don't want the pasta. Like, I don't even miss that part. If we are needing to stretch the budget for dinner a little bit further, we've got 4 kids to feed, half of which are teenagers, we'll go ahead and throw in some pasta, especially for them to kind of help stretch that a little more. So you really can do it either way. And especially now, there's so many great keto options for pasta that if you're really wanting that and really wanting that piece, you could totally find something to do that. Idea number 4 would be just simply grilled chicken or doing a grilled chicken Caesar salad. So if we are doing strictly carnivore, it's just grilled chicken. And my favorite is to go and get a bunch of like the chicken tenderloins. I will throw them in a baggie with some like balsamic vinaigrette or maybe an Italian dressing. Let it sit in the fridge overnight in that bowl or that bag. Let it marinate really well. Take it out, throw it on the Blackstone the next day. Delicious. You need nothing else with it. Sometimes I might put a little spritz of fresh lemon juice over it, which is absolutely delicious, but it's not necessary. It is so good just being in the marinade overnight. Now, if you're leaning a little more ketovore, that's where I say bring in maybe the salad to go along with it. And so that can be fresh, lettuce, spinach, whatever greens you might like that again work well with your system. A lot of meat. Even if I have a salad, I'm putting at least 4 or 5 tenderloins on top of it. Lots and lots of meat. I just shred it all up, throw it on top of my bed of lettuce and spinaches and whatever else I'm using. If you want to add any, vegetables on top of it. Now I love doing like cherry tomatoes. I usually sprinkle some cheese, whether some Parmesan or some cheddar, whatever I'm kind of feeling, I sprinkle some cheese onto it. And then I personally use a yogurt-based dressing that I really like. It's a Caesar dressing, it's very good. And instead of pouring that all over my salad, I usually pour it in a little small, I have this little vintage dish that I'll pour it in and just kind of tap my fork into that so I get a little dressing on my fork and then grab a bite. And then that way I'm not consuming quite as much dressing into my meal there. But chicken Caesar salad, especially on a hot summer night with a beautiful glass of sparkling water with some like frozen berries in it, absolutely delicious, wonderful, easy dinner meal. Idea number 5 would be bunless burgers. So this is just having a hamburger without the bun, right? That makes it carnivore. So you take your meat patty. We usually buy the packs at Walmart of fresh beef patties already made up. Again, my husband, salt, pepper, whatever seasoning or herbs that he wants to put on them, take them out to the grill, and then we can top it with cheese. You can top it with bacon. You can put a little bit, again, if you want some sauces, try to find something very, very low in sugar and no additives and extra junk. We don't want that anyways, but you can add a little bit of a sauce onto it. I have to have some ketchup. And then if you're leaning more ketovore to that, you could always add tomato, I add pickles. And if you really wanted like a keto bun, those are definitely available in things that you could add to that as well, or do a lettuce wrap or something on it. But bunless burgers happen in our house honestly, usually a couple times per week during the summer. That is something we have all the time. Sometimes really my husband and kids, they will just take the meat patties and just eat meat patties because it's funny when you really get used to this way of eating. We've noticed that if you don't have enough meat in the day, your body is like, oh, I need that, right? Like I can tell that something's missing and I need to add that in. And so bunless burgers, always a win, very easy to make, and especially if you're gonna have a bunch of company over, a lot of things going on, we'll bring out regular buns and stuff if we have company coming over and we know that they don't eat a carnivore way of eating, but then it doesn't mean that I have to use a bun, right? Like I might stay a little more ketovore, use a piece of lettuce, or just eat it by itself with my fork and knife. But bunless burger, summertime, perfect summer family crowd pleaser yet again. One dinner that is super cost effective and easy to make, especially for large groups, we're always feeding a large group in our house, is to do hot dogs with beef chili. Now, this is another one of those that you don't realize just how full you get from this. Like everybody's hungry, you got kiddos to feed, you're starving, you've been out working in the yard a lot or doing something. This is a great meal. It is gonna fill you up. You are going to feel so good. Beef hot dogs, all beef, right? I do, again, buy the best that you can afford. I try to get ones that, don't have a bunch of fillers and other junk in them, but hot dogs. And then we take ground beef with some tomato sauce and chili seasoning, and I make up a big pot of all beef chili. And then you can take the hot dogs, top them with the chili. It's delicious and you feel so full. My kids love this. This is one of their favorite things that we make. And so if you want to make it a little more ketovore, of course, you can always add some of those other sides or something in that are still kind of keto friendly and healthy and pure, whether it's some, vegetables or something with it. And then if you wanted to add like a keto bun to it, you could. Honestly, we have found that we get so stuffed eating just the hot dog with the chili that the bun is too much. It's just really too much to try to take in. But chili, hot dogs, big win. And again, I love the fact that it's so inexpensive to make up a big batch, and it's something that's really easy to keep leftovers in the fridge. So if somebody's getting hungry, you need a little something later, it's really easy to heat up, to pull out, and something that just doesn't require a lot of work on you to go then in and make a little something else up. So absolutely love doing that. Now the last one I'm going to add is our family. When we started carnivore, it has been a tradition in our family for so many years that every Sunday is pizza day. That has just been our family's thing forever. For some of our kids, really as long as they can even remember being alive. And so we started this, my kids said, hey, we're not gonna lose pizza day, right? We didn't. So if you wanna have one day that's just a, hey, I'm not worrying about it today, that was kind of it for us. They still got pizza. Now the thing I noticed is the more we did this and the healthier we all got, the more that they didn't want all the extra crusty, yucky stuff with pizza. And they would eat like maybe a piece or two and be like, I'm good. Like, I got my fix, I'm good. I don't need to sit here and like just eat it all because I don't feel good when I eat it. So it really did work out well. There's also many great recipes out there for keto pizzas or pizzas where you literally take chicken and make a crust and can have a completely carnivore compliant pizza if you want. And so I will leave some of those linked in the PDF. So if you want something like that, you want to stay really strict with it, you absolutely can. But for our family, even if it's not keto, even if it's not carnivore compliant, pizza was one that my family was like, I absolutely have to have, I can't do without it. And so they do that. I personally am not the biggest pizza person in the whole wide world, but if we're going to be doing pizza, I just make sure that I get the most meat I can possibly get put on the pizza, and I personally do it thin crust. So yeah, maybe there's a little something, but I'm not eating a ton of, just flours and all of that coming in that really bothers my system, especially with PCOS and endometriosis. I really found a connection between the two. And so if I'm doing pizza, it's thin crust and as many meats as I can heap on top of it. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm good to go. I feel fine. So that is definitely still a staple here for our family, even with a carnivore diet. Thanks so much for joining me here for this week's episode of Happy Homemaking. Now we have extended versions of all these segments that will be available throughout the week for you to watch. Be sure when you subscribe to turn on your bell notifications so you see them as they come out, and you can access everything right here at this playlist. Have a wonderful week. We'll see you in the next one. Bye, friends.